Hello, it is Serum, and I am back on Kerbal Space Program. Today, as you can see, I have a moon hanger, and we're going to land it on the moon. And it's got a little rover in there, and two guys living in it, and it'll be part of a bigger space center, moon base, I guess you would call it. This is my 100 billionth try at getting this thing into orbit. It's so big and heavy that I haven't had a lot of luck, but I finally went with this rocket design, and when that didn't quite do it, then I put those boosters on, which you'll see detaching here in a moment, and then I had to play around with a few other things, but I was finally able to get it into orbit and safely off Kerbin ground, and then just from there it was much easier getting it to the moon. If you notice on the top there, that sky crane, which is the final stage for delivering this thing to the surface of the moon, if you watch Kurt J. Mack at all, you might recognize that design. I actually stole that from him. I saw that in his latest video when he's dropping the rover off on the moon, and I thought, wow, that works really well. I'm going to have to try that because it's a lot better than the design I was using. So we finally get into orbit. Well, we're not in orbit yet. We're finally on the last part of the orbit, and as you can see, I put a bigger engine on that final stage there, just to try to give me a little oomph to get into orbit. And now we're on to the nuclear engine, and this is where I start to run into problems. I burn and burn and burn, and I keep burning. And all that happens is I just keep dropping, and I'm so close to getting to the orbit. So I finally decide I'm going to have to use these engines to help me out here. So I have to be careful not to use up all the fuel, because I'm going to need this stage at the end. But it's the only way I'm getting into orbit is with these extra rockets. So I turn them all on, power everything back up, and it actually starts to help. And you can see I'm starting to fall back into the planet there. So I need anything I can get at this point. And like I said, I've tried this so many times and I have not had any luck. But that ends up working just barely. I think I end up coming about 70,000 meters from the surface. So I just barely make it, but it's all I need. Because once I get in orbit, everything's much easier. And I figure when I'm done, I can transfer some of the extra fuel, if I need to, from the nuclear stage up to the sky crane stage. So now that I'm in orbit, I have to find the moon, and we have an encounter. So I set that up and get ready to burn for that. So I'm lined up and everything. My time's coming up. I have this nuclear engine, so I know I need to burn a little early from what it's telling me. So I start burning. Yeah, and I'm watching this. I'm watching my orbit. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow, this is going really smoothly. It's just going right out. It's heading out there faster than I've ever seen a nuclear engine work. And I'm trying to figure this out. Why is it going so quick? And it hasn't clicked, and then I realize, oh yeah, I forgot to turn off those engines. So I've used up quite a bit of fuel in that sky crane, a lot more than I wanted, but I still think I have enough to get me down to the moon, because I don't need a lot, just a little bit to get that to slow me down. So with that off, I start my burn for the moon, and it takes much longer now, but eventually I do get it. And I'm actually doing pretty good on time. I meet up with it almost where I planned it. So now I'm in the moon. I'm trying to get into the moon's orbit. And of course this takes a little bit longer too. And I'm heading for that big crater that's kind of on the light side there, if you can see it. That's where I want to land. It, from watching other videos, it looks like it's a pretty smooth, flat place to land, and it's interesting looking. So I'm off orbit some there, so I'm going to have to now adjust my inclination so that it's lined up with that. I believe that's what that is. So I slowly burn at that. But again, you know, with the nuclear engines, it's not quite as effective as I like, so I'm not quite lined up with my planned orbit, but it's at least over that crater. So now I slowly start to drop, stop my orbit and drop into the moon. And again, it takes a little while, but that's okay because the target's pretty big. You know, I just want to land somewhere in there, hopefully where it's the flattest, because I don't want a hilly. Every time I land on the moon, it's always on inclines and stuff, and I don't want my base on a hill. So this is the only place I know from watching other videos that seems fairly flat and is easy to find from orbit. So now we're dropping. You know, I'm just trying to get rid of any lateral movement. I want to drop straight down. And it actually took me 2 attempts on this because the first time I misjudged just how weak that nuclear engine is, and even with the thing throttling full speed, I just flew right into the moon. So this time I had to start a lot earlier and do more short little burns as I go down to keep my falling speed there going from getting too high. So I'm down to about 100 meters a second. I'm getting nervous at this point. I've tried this a lot of times. Alright, we're coming in. I'm still doing 50 meters a second, which is awfully fast. This is where I'm going to have to rely on that sky crane to stop me the rest of the way. Definitely has a lot more power, so it should do the job. So I release that. And what do you know, it's slowing me down pretty quick. Everything's going so smoothly. I need an obstacle like a fuel tank or something flying at me just to make things more interesting. Oh, hey, what do you know? There we go. Wow, now we're set. So, yeah, this is going pretty well. I'm slowing down. And this is a nice, flat, big thing, so I don't have to worry too much about it tipping over. Hopefully. And we're touching down, and fortunately, okay, wait, here we go. I thought it was gonna tip, but it didn't. Now we need fireworks. Oh, hey, what do you know? There's one. That's not enough though. I think we need some more. Wait for it. There's one. We need more. Yay! Now we have fireworks. It's a celebration! We are on the moon with the first stage. Now we'll get rid of that stupid sky crane. Goodbye! It does look kind of cool flying away. Let's see a view from that. Oh yeah. Yeah, that hangar looks pretty cool from up here. But we're not done with it yet, and there's a little bit of the one of the RCS nozzles that didn't explode in the fireworks. So now we're going to bring down the ladder so we can start getting this thing ready, and I'm going to detach the rover. Now this is where I run into a problem. I need to decouple this thing. For some reason, the entire docking port just came detached, and now physics is starting to act weird, and there goes my tire. For some reason, something magical force started pushing down on my rover and popped the tire and then flung the thing around. So it's upside down now, and this is where I'm like, great, all this work and I don't have a rover. So I try to use the SRS on the capsule there to try to flip it over, and I'm afraid, of course, I'm going to break everything on this trying to do it. And almost get it, and it's up again. So, and nothing's broken, amazingly. At least I thought nothing was broken, but I do discover in a minute that one thing is. And there's another glitch. Apparently my little panel is blocking the door, so when the guys exit, they just get launched out of it. And I don't know yet if I'm going to be able to get them back in or not. So I might leave one guy in there all the time. So fortunately, he can repair the wheel. And it's going to tip. Okay, good. Now let's go for a little cruise. And this is where I realized the ladder broke off. So that's okay. You can jump up into it. We're on the moon after all. And he'll do a little twirl while he does it. Yay! Like a ballerina. And he's in. And I take this thing for a little cruise, and it actually isn't too bad. I thought it would be a lot more unstable. As long as you keep it at not too fast of a speed, it does pretty well. You know, you just don't want to get it up to a high speed and then take a sharp turn or anything. And you can see it tips a little bit there, but that's alright. I knew it wouldn't be the most stable. It just is better than walking. That's all I'm concerned about. So the first part of my moon base, the hangar, is down. And I got this hangar idea from watching somebody else too, one of the YouTube videos. So I thought, a hangar would be kind of cool. And it turned out to be a lot more work than I thought it would be. But I do like it. So now I'm just going to park this thing. Since we have a hangar, I'm going to park it in there. I can't connect it up to the docking port, but that's okay. And then I decided to open up the solar panels and turn all the lights on so we can get a little bit of light in here. That's the indoor lighting. There's the communication dish. You gotta have one of those. And then I got some lighting up on that tower too. That light up the front sides of the hangar. So it actually looks really cool. I was very impressed at how this thing looks. I do wish that the separation, God, I blinked on the name, on top there, that antenna wasn't supposed to stay on there, but it did. Look at that from a distance. That looks awesome. So yeah, so I got my hangar up. Next time we'll maybe do a little exploring and start sending more of the moon base. I am Serum, and I will see you next time on the moon. And there we are in the crater. Bye.